Good afternoon, folks. It's Bob Wolf. I'm your host today. The program, We the People, 1787. And we have a website that's named pretty much the same thing, WeThePeople1787.com. We asked that maybe you would go there to our site. You can catch all of the programs there that are the 2014 programs that we've done and the 2015 programs all the way up until last Saturday. You not only get the programs in the form of an audio, but it's also a video presentation as well. So you can watch them on your computer if that's what you'd like to do. So, usually what by the way, I don't have my co-host with me this week, Wesley Bunce. He's fantastic, and he really brings a lot to the show every week, a lot of facts. He's kind of a Washington insider. He knows a lot of people, has a lot of contacts, and it's important to keep up on what legislation is being passed by our Senate and what things are in the House. He just knows a lot of people, and last week he filled people in. So if you do get a chance, go to the show for last Saturday, find it in the 2015 programs. That's easy to do right off the home page. Just press the button that says 2015 programs. It's right up near the top. While you're there in our site, look around in the site. You can also email us from there if you wish. We have a contact button. We do not use your email address for anything but just in relationship to the conversation that you want to carry on with us. We don't sell it. We don't give it away. We don't do anything with it. You can not only go to the Contact Us button, or you can email me, Bob Wolf, at Freedom Speaks, with an S, on Speaks, 1787 at gmail.com. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on in the news, and I could just about go crazy trying to bring news articles to you that maybe you didn't know anything about. And I've got a few things that I wanted to mention to you before when we go into maybe the second part of the show or second segment of the show. But in the meantime, what I would like to do, I want to bring on a guy who he's on the line, isn't he? Yeah, he is on the line. They tell me. I want to bring on a guy that is calling in from actually Disney World. I think he's taken his family to Disney World, but we've made contact with him. He's got kind of a specialty that he does, and you're going to kind of say, what? Because this program is a little bit different. But you know about our Benghazi tribute. You know about our 9/11. That's on 9/11, this September 11th. It's a Friday night right here at the radio station in the auditorium. And so we've got that going on. I'll announce a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But I want to bring on a guy by the name of Bert Caswell. And Bert, are you on there?
Yes, I am, Bob. Is speakerphone okay now?
Everything's fine. I hear you just fine.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I used to work at the Disney World in Washington, but now I'm at the Disney World.
Yeah, that's called Disney World.
But it's an incredible place. There's a lot of tourists, and Washington's a great city, as you know.
Yeah, Disney World in Washington, right. So tell us what your specialty is there, would you please, Bert?
Well, I worked in the Capitol for 27 years, and I became a poet. I wrote a poem for Bob Dole. They put on his farewell address, and I've been writing ever since. I've worked with Make-A-Wish children for 20 years, and in the last 14 years, I would go over to Walter Reed every other day or so, and every day after work, I would bring wounded warriors throughout the Capitol, and I'd write poems for them, and we read some of them on the floor of the House and put them in the record, and I written stuff for 9/11. On the morning of 9/11, I was in the Rotunda, 8 o'clock in the morning, when Flight 93 was en route, and we had a meeting the next day for 10 minutes. They said, take off for a couple weeks. I drove to Ocean City, Maryland, and I wrote 3 poems, and I've been writing ever since. And I've walked the entire city of New York. I've been to almost every firehouse, giving my poems. I've been to funerals. I've been invited to the ceremony about 10 years in a row. I've gone, and
Oh, let me break in right here. How many poems, just if you take a guess, or maybe you already know, how many poems do you think you've written in your life?
I'd say probably at least 4,000.
Woo, 4,000.
Yeah, I've written them also on sports and on events, on the Holocaust, World War II, D-Day, Normandy, Arlington, any subject you name.
Tell us about the 9/11 stuff. Tell us a little bit about what was it that made you write some poem about that?
Well, number one, I worked in the Capitol, which is the greatest building in America, and it's when you walk in that building, your heart pounds. And over the years, I'm a very patriotic person, but when our country was attacked, the morning 9/11, when they told us to run for our lives, and I had this World War II guy with me, and I came out and I saw the smoke of the Pentagon, and my first two words were "those bastards," and that's what General Schwarzkopf said that night on television. And I've been writing ever since, and I just love our country, and we are attacked on our soil. And I watched, after that night on television, like most Americans did, I stayed up all night and watched television, and I was so moved and so touched by all these magnificent men and women, and I started writing poems. And then I was invited by the Colbert family, which produces this most incredible thing that all our viewers should see, and go to the back issues of the Memorial Day concerts at the Capitol. And they asked me to come and take the group of family who were portrayed in the 2002 Memorial Day concert on a tour, and I could read and give them some of my poems. And I've just been touched by so many people, and I love our country so much, and there's so many great Americans.
I love our country too, and I know a lot of folks that do love our country, and many of the folks that I know that love our country are trying to do something to help our country in this time of need. And I say time of need, it's because we're in a situation where this country, we have a president who promised that he was going to fundamentally change America. Now, if you don't know what the word fundamental means, maybe you should take a look into that word fundamental, but it's being changed fundamentally. We're going to be going on a break in just a moment, Bert, but before you get into the next segment, and before, I hope you can hang on with me, can you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So hang in with me there. We're going to be right back with Bert Caswell, and we're going to have some other discussion going on. I hope that you'll be very interested. Stay with me. Don't go away. This is Bob Wolf. It's We the People, 1787 at AM 600 and 100.3 FM. The Answer.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Well, I don't know. We got the old recording back on there. I had a new one, and I don't know. Maybe they maybe they did something with it. But this is Bob Wolf, and Forrest is still away. So we hope someday that Forrest will be back with us. But in the meantime, you've got me. I'm your host, Bob Wolf. And, you know, if you do want to call in at some point in time here, and you want to make a comment or you want to bring up a subject for us, it'll be just fine with me. The number to call is 904-222-8255. You can call in. We'll talk to you on the other line. In the meantime, I've got a man who's holding on to the phone there. He's down in Disney World, and he's written, he says, about 4,000 poems in his life. And the reason I've got him on here today is because we are soon going to be doing a Benghazi tribute right here at the radio station, the Salem Center. And I'm inviting you. You got my personal invitation, folks. I'm inviting everybody that wants to come as long as we have seating. Now, seating is limited, so if you will please contact us at wethepeople1787.com. All you got to do on the homepage of our site is go to the right. There's a button right there to push. You'll see it. It has to do with the Benghazi tribute, and you're going to be able to get right in there and register. It's free. Hey, how many things are free? This is going to be a fantastic show also. So anyway, folks, I want to bring back on Bert Caswell. Bert, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic, because sometimes we lose people. It's kind of like a fish on a line, and a hook lets them off or something. I don't know. But
Forrest Gump, you never know what you're going to get.
that's right. You just never know what you're going to get. Well, anyway, due to our Benghazi tribute on 9/11 and thinking about the towers, you've got a poem I think that you're going to give us, which is about the towers and so forth. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, why don't you give it some feeling? Go ahead and read that poem to us. Let's hear let's hear how it goes. And I guess it's called Gotham Glory. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Gotham Glory.
Gotham Glory. Go ahead, Bert.
In this great city that which so towers, high above all those clouds throughout the hours, lie such majestic buildings which make mere men cower, all in their presence and circumstance. As this Gotham city they do so enhance, all in their power. But nothing in this Gotham city rises any higher than what happened on 9/11, all in those hours, when all those brave hearts chose to inspire, while in the midst of one of America's darkest of all hours, to bring their light, to take us higher. As why, high above all of us they now so tower, with all the faith, love, and courage which so showers this Gotham city evermore throughout the hours. For in life, there can be no greater story, nor no greater gift or sacrifice of such glory than to save someone else and give up one's life, as was their story. At the very height of what a hero can be, so selflessly, as why the face of God they would see. And on that morning that which hate invoked, as a time now all etched in their hearts which spoke, when came the light of such hope, all in what their fine hearts would emote. As a time when mere men and women acted like gods, all in what they so wrote, their book of love. As for them, heaven lie close, running up into the face of hell. You go, I go, as was their hero's creed, their actions spelled. As all their hearts so chose to swell, running past death up into this fiery hell, knowing this might be their last moments full well. All in their quest to save lives they dwelled. For on this morning, courage came in all shapes and sizes, all in what their fine hearts comprised this, setting them apart from all the rest, and all their families now so left, without their greatest loves of all. May our Lord now so bless, as they came home to where they belong. And what child may now be born of all those they saved so very warm, who might save the world into a future born? Mothers, fathers, rabbis, teachers, priests, preachers, tell the story all about their Gotham glory. And when there comes a gentle rain, their tears from heaven shall wash down upon you to ease your pain, until up in heaven you meet again, and you won't have to cry no more. In this great city that which so towers, high above all those clouds throughout the hours, lie such majestic buildings which make mere men cower, all in their presence and circumstance. As this Gotham city they so enhance, all in their power. But nothing in this Gotham city rises any higher than what happened on 9/11 in all those hours. Amen.
Hey, thanks a lot for reading that to us or quoting it back to us. Listen, if anybody wants a copy of that poem, is it okay if we email it to them?
Yeah, let me send you another copy because I had a few typing errors in the one that I sent you.
Yeah, okay. You send it to me on the email, and if someone requests that, then it's okay with you if we send it out to them.
Sure.
It's a touching poem, and from what I've heard about other works that you've written, you have a number of touching things like that.
Well, the first poem I wrote the morning after, Arnold sent me a Christmas card because I sent him my stuff. And he said, it's very moving and touching what you wrote. I've often thought no one could put the 9/11 tragedy in words. You've proven me wrong. I was like, wow, what a lift, at Christmas to get a nice letter like that. But I've met so many amazing people, and they're so inspiring, like our troops. You get behind them, they're the trucks going down the highway, and they pull you along. Them and their families. And there's some great Americans in this country.
Well, listen, I want to let you go back to your family there in Disney World and what you're involved in there. I thank you for coming on with us today and being part of our show. We'll probably ask you back again some other time.
Okay, well, it's nice talking to you, and I'm a Florida resident, and I love Florida, and I love Jacksonville. And I have relatives that live in Jacksonville, and I've been living in St. Augustine for the last year or so.
All right.
So thank you very much, and I will email that to you within the next 24 hours.
No problem.
You can send it up.
No
God
problem.
bless you. Good day, and thank you for the honor.
God bless you, too. And thank you, Bert. Okay, folks, well, there you have it. That is a touching poem on our 9/11 hit that Bert Caswell wrote. And if any of you, as I say, if any of you would like to have a copy of the poem, let me know. You can email me at freedomspeaks1787 at gmail.com. It's Bob Wolf. Now, I've got another guest coming up in a little while. He's going to be calling in here, but let me announce to you what this Benghazi tribute thing is all about. If you haven't heard everything that you need to hear so far about it, it's free. The public is welcome. We've got quite a show. I think maybe we've got a couple of hundred people or so already scheduled to come in. It's still a little bit early, and I know some people want to hold off until the last moment before they register to come in. But try to think about, if you're going to be able to make it on Friday, September 11th at 7 p.m. right here at our Salem Center Auditorium. It's located at 7235 Bonneville Road, Jacksonville. We're going to have patriotic music. We're going to have military honors. We're going to have, I think, 3 or 4 speakers. And one of the guests that we had on recently is going to be our speaker. I guess the MC of our program. I guess that's what you'd call him. I want to mention this bunco thing I got going on here. I think that this is available for anybody that would like to go. This is a little bit of fundraising here for another purpose, but so in an effort to raise funds for the Benghazi tribute, also friends of the FCTP are hosting a bunco benefit on Friday, August 28th. At Fort Caroline Christian Church, and that is 7535 Fort Caroline Road in Jacksonville, Florida. And the tickets are $20, and it includes heavy hors d'oeuvres and non-alcoholic beverages, and a lot of fun. So the space is limited there also, so you want to get your tickets and order up today as quickly as you can. And if you're not familiar what bunco is, it's a fun, fast-paced dice game that requires no skill in order to play it. The game instructions begin at 6:30 that evening. Prizes and awards for the most buncos, most wins, in other words, most 3 of a kind, and most losses. So even a loser can win here. Food is going to be donated by Angie's Subs, Ed Malin, Half Moon Restaurant, that's Curtis Winter, Billy's Boathouse, and Billy Cicel. And as I say, it's open to all locations. Fort Caroline Christian Church at 7535 Fort Caroline Road. And that's Jacksonville, Florida. And who is FCTP? Well, that's First Coast Tea Party. So anyway, I invite you. If you didn't get all this because you're driving and you really need to come back to it, remember our email address, and I can send you information about it. Or remember our website address, wethepeople1787.com. So anyway, that takes care of that. I've talked about the Benghazi tribute. We have some sponsors for that Benghazi tribute. It's like Senator Aaron Bean, Captain and Mrs. Ryman Schoaf. And by the way, Ryman Schoaf is the one that I spoke about just a little bit ago, who's going to be our MC. He's U.S. Navy retired captain. And Carol McManus, who's in the organization called Act for America, JAX. Arlington Republican Club, the Republican Women's Club of Duval Federated, Fitzall Powell. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Mr. and Mrs. John Heath, U.S. Navy retired. And also, let's see, who else? Oh, We the People, 1787, and WBOB Radio. So, American Foreign Policy, yeah. These are all great sponsors, people that are standing behind this tribute to those that died. Chris Stevens, and Woods, and Doherty, and Smith, our Navy SEALs that fought gallantly that night to both protect and to get some of those free. And we've got a guest coming on right after the break that I know you're going to want to hear. His name is John Stinson. So hang in there, folks. Don't change the dial. This is Bob Wolf at We the People 1787, and come on back to us.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Well, again, it's Bob Wolf. We'll try to get the right recording up there next week, but I've got a guest on the phone. I'm going to bring him in just a moment, and I'll introduce him just briefly, and then he can tell you what his story is. This is John Stinson. John is running for city commissioner at Atlantic Beach off of Jacksonville, right here. It is important to listen to what he's got to say. He's got a story that he's going to tell you. He's a businessman. He's not a politician in the respect of some kind of permanent politician stance that many people have. He is a businessman. And he's got some information he's going to pass on to us about what is critical, the critical issues that he is running to defeat the incumbent Democrat, who is quite liberal, he says, Maria Mark. And John, are you on the phone for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Wolf. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely, John. Why don't you go ahead and tell us your story? What's important to the people out there at Atlantic Beach?
Sure, sir. Well, the reason I think it's important for everyone to understand the reason I chose to run for office is Atlantic Beach went through a period of about a year where we had a fairly divisive issue that was brought before the commission. And at one of the city commission meetings, I heard the comment was made that they did not want to allow the residents of Atlantic Beach to vote on this issue. And the word for word, it was some things are too important to let the people vote on. And that goes so counter to what I think the fundamental foundations of our government and our country are, that I just couldn't sit by and let that stand.
Well, I think what that means, John, is that whatever the powers that be are at that time, if things are too important for people to be able to be allowed to vote on them, it just means let's keep the status quo, let's not change it.
I would agree. It's one of two things. It's either the elected officials think that they know what's best for you and I better than we do, or they don't believe that you support what they're fixing to do.
And that could be really important to you.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, John.
And since that time, I've heard other comments like, I don't want the people to be able to easily undo something we've done as elected officials. And not all of our commission subscribes to these thoughts and ideas, but my opponent has made several of these. And again, it's just counter to just the formation and the foundation of our representative democracy. And so I elected to run for office because I think restoring the voice of the people of Atlantic Beach is important. I think elected officials too often think that when they're elected that it's a mandate to pursue the official's own agenda, but I believe different. When you're elected, you just took a job. You actually now represent the people that elected you, and you have to do their will, not your own personal agenda.
That's right. I understand that there is a special emphasis that is being placed on getting out the vote, and I think the vote is August 25th. Am I correct?
It is August 25th, next Tuesday, and certainly we're trying to improve voter turnout. We typically in Atlantic Beach have 28 to 30% turnout, and we're hoping that we can get in the 40% range. We think that the voting population of Atlantic Beach is energized. I think they've been watching what's been going on in Atlantic Beach for the last couple of years, and we're hoping that we hit the 40% mark.
What I'm reading here says that what has happened in Atlantic Beach will happen in Jacksonville and the surrounding cities on the LGBT issue. Our future will be influenced by the results of this Beaches community election. So tell us what the situation is there, John.
Well, I think with regards to the human rights ordinance that the city of Atlantic Beach passed, I think now the initiative is to try to push that on to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's addressed it in the past and decided that there were already protections for that community. But I think there's some in Atlantic Beach, and basically, realistically, it's people from outside of our area. It's from Orlando, it's from Washington, from Tampa. This agenda is being pushed from people that don't even live in the area.
Okay. And give us some insight about the kind of protections, this is protections for what, Sharia law, polygamy, bigamy, and it goes on and on, I understand.
Well,
special rights.
It's I wouldn't say it's special rights. It's special protections. What our ordinance did is defined a particular community and gave them special protection, and it's a protection that we all want, right? It doesn't matter what your lifestyle choices are, what your lifestyle characteristics are. We all want to be able to live our lives and not be discriminated against and not be judged for anything other than I'm a person, I'm part of society, and I want to be looked at that way. But this one was very defined, and it selected a particular group of people and said you can't do these things with these people. I think that if we're going to have an ordinance like that it ought to apply to everyone, not just one group or another.
I see. Okay. Any other closing thoughts on this?
Well, I appreciate one that you let me come on to talk, and I would encourage all the voters in Atlantic Beach to turn out next Tuesday because 30% turnout is low. One of my comments that I tend to make is if you don't vote, you're liable to get what you don't want. And I think it's important that we be energized, we be engaged, we be informed voters, and that it's our obligation to turn out and vote. So I'm encouraging everyone in Atlantic Beach to turn out and vote next Tuesday.
And besides the fact that you want to increase that voter turnout, what is it, if you have to put something at the top of the list, what do you think maybe the most important issue could be at Atlantic Beach that you are trying to influence the vote on?
Sure. I think I hate to limit it to one. I'll mention one briefly.
Okay, or two.
Sure. Our city pension fund, the unfunded liability, actually the liability in general, is growing every day. In the last 5 years, it's gone from $2 million to $9 million. In the next 5 years, my numbers and my projections say we're going to get really close to $25 million, and I think we need to address that. I don't have all the facts or even a recommendation of how to address it, but it needs to be addressed because it continues to grow. And then one that's near and dear to my heart is emergency management. We have a less than adequate emergency management plan. It considers only emergencies such as hurricanes. It doesn't consider emergencies such as an incident at Naval Station Mayport, which is our next door neighbor. It doesn't have considerations or contingencies for tornadoes or fires or bridge outings or any of those things. And yes, we have to coordinate with Jacksonville and Neptune Beach and the other communities around us. But our plan itself doesn't give our citizens any information about how to get out, how to get back in, and how that's going to be handled in the event of an emergency.
Uh-huh. So Election Day precincts, they're open between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. out there, Atlantic Beach area.
Correct.
And in addition, there's a special Super Saturday meetup. Well, that was today. That was
Yes, sir.
And it's over now, I guess, right?
We just concluded about an hour ago. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I won't mention that one, but because our show was a little bit late for that today. But anyway, if people need to contact you, are you willing to give us contact information over the air?
Absolutely. The easiest way is my website, voteforjohnstinson.com, and my last name is spelled Stinson. That's the quickest and easiest. You can go there. You can send me an email. I answer every email that comes through the website. The phone number that I can be reached at is 904-955-5318. I take every call that comes to that number. I'd be happy to talk to anyone about any issue or concern, or if they have questions or comments about what I've said on your show.
Well, that's terrific. John, I appreciate you coming on and giving us your ideas and letting people in Atlantic Beach know why this vote is critical. I know that I asked you for one top thing, but tell us one other thing. You're a businessman. Quick, what's your business out there? What do you do?
Sure. We have an aircraft maintenance facility in Fernandina where we work on light, medium, general aviation aircraft. It's called Coastal Aviation Maintenance.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go on a short break. We'll be back just after that. And John, thank you for coming on with us. I appreciate it very much. I hope you do well. If you want to give us a call, it's 904-222-8255. You're listening to We the People 1787 and Bob Wolf, your host.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Well, I'm going to change my name to Forrest. Bob Wolf. I want to get right into this segment. If you go to our website, and I wish you would, please, and let us know what you think about the website. You can just email us from the contact box there, or contact us box, or you can email me, Bob Wolf, directly at Freedom Speaks. That's freedomspeaks1787.com. Or pardon me, I said it wrong again. It's freedomspeaks@gmail.com. So anyway, you will see on the 2015 programs, if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you're going to see there on the left-hand side, I believe it is, there is an ad, or at least it looks like it might be an ad. It is it is about a library of books that are available, and there are some push buttons there, so you can go right into that website. And the website is a website of Dr. Gene A. Youngblood. We've had him on our program here a couple of different times to speak. Very, very interesting man. You know, Dr. Youngblood has earned academic degrees in theology, and he's got a doctorate from Luther Rice University. He's the founding president of Conservative Theological University. So Dr. Youngblood is a biblical scholar, and he's a renowned speaker and professor. And he's in demand for seminars and symposiums and so forth. But mainly what I wanted to talk about this time was the library there, which you can click the button and go into. There's a book there that he gave me personally. It's called The Seven Churches. Well, it's called Jesus Speaks to the Church. And it's about the seven churches of Revelations, an in-depth study of Revelations chapters 2 and 3. I've listened to Dr. Gene Youngblood speak several times now, both in church and out of church, but he's an amazing speaker. And, you know, this man does know a lot of information regarding Revelations. If you're interested in this particular book of the Bible or anything else about the Bible, or perhaps prophecy or the end days or coming things to come, you know, this would be the man to talk to. And you can go right to that button that I spoke about at the bottom of the page on our 2015 programs page, and you'll be able there to click and find all the information that you might want to find to go in and actually, go over to the church and talk to him. I know Sunday's going to be the best day, of course, and church, I can tell you, starts at 9:45 sharp, 9:45 sharp, and it's right off of Old St. Augustine Road. There's a map there and everything right on the page, so you can't miss it. The address and map and everything else is there. So Jesus Speaks to the Church is the book that I'm talking about. It's a look at the historicity of the 7 churches of Revelation and the applications in this for today. So I think it's a great book. And let's see, the price of the book is like $19.95. It's available from the doctor or from the library there. I want to mention a couple of other things. First one off the bat would it be, do you think that a presidential election could actually be rigged by perhaps one of your favorite search engines? I've got an article here I'm holding by Robert Epstein, and the date of the article is August 19th, 2015, so it's very recent here. America's next president could be eased into office not just by TV ads or speeches, but by Google's secret decisions, and no one except, he says, for me, being him, and perhaps a few other obscure researchers would know how this can be accomplished. So this is an amazing article that I read about it here. Robert Epstein, who wrote this article, is a senior research psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology, and he's the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today. So that is who wrote the article. He says, research that I've been directing in recent years suggests that Google Incorporated has amassed far more power to control elections, indeed, to control a wide variety of options and beliefs than any company in history has ever had. Google search algorithms can easily shift the voting preferences of undecided voters by 20% or more, up to 80% in some demographic groups, with virtually no one knowing that they're actually being manipulated, according to experiments that he's conducted recently with Ronald E. Robertson. Given that many elections are won by small margins, this gives Google the power right now to flip upwards of 25% of the national election worldwide in the United States. Worldwide and in the United States, half of our presidential elections have been won by margins under 7.6%. And in 2012, election was won by a margin of only 3.9%. Well, that would be well within Google's control, he says. There are at least 3 very real scenarios whereby Google, perhaps even without its leaders' knowledge, could shape or even decide the election next year. Whether or not Google's executives see it this way, the employees who constantly adjust the search giant's algorithms are manipulating people every minute of every day. The adjustments they make increasingly influence our thinking, including, it turns out, our voting preferences. So what he calls a search engine manipulation effect turns out to be one of the largest behavioral effects ever discovered. So this comprehensive study, just published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, includes the results of 5 experiments that they've conducted with more than 4,500 participants in 2 countries. So I thought it was a very interesting article. They're saying here, according to Google Trends at this writing, Donald Trump is currently trouncing over all of the other candidates in search activity of 47 of 50 states. Could this activity push him higher in search rankings? And could higher rankings in turn bring him more support? Most definitely, they say. So Anyway, I wanted to also take a look at another article that I have here. And this one is NASA awarding $200,000 per year grant to research a project aimed at turning astronaut poo into food. Well, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you exactly what it means, according to this article. As NASA talks more about the growing possibility of manned missions to Mars and beyond, the challenges of feeding astronauts in a mission that lasts months or even maybe years becomes more and more pressing. So the space agency is attempting to find a solution to this problem, and they are awarding a $200,000 a year grant to a project aimed at creating a closed-loop system on spacecraft. Closed loop, I'm saying. One that could use astronauts' waste and turn it into food or fertilizer or supplements or other useful materials for a long space flight. And the project that won the grant is called Synthetic Biology. So take that, folks. This would solve your problems if you go on a long trip and you don't want to, take a lot of food with you.
I could come up with a ton of one-liners for that.
That's our helper over there on the other side of the window. I want to cover this one too. An almost fully formed human brain has been grown in a laboratory for the first time. We'll talk about all this talk that's been going on lately about Planned Parenthood. Well, listen to this. Scientists from Ohio State University claim this. The team behind the feat, hoped that the brain could transform our understanding of neurological disease. I got to pronounce these words correctly if possible. Though not conscious, the miniature brain, which resembles that of a 5-week-old fetus, could potentially be useful for scientists who want to study the progression of developmental diseases. It could also be used to test drugs for conditions such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, since the regions that they affect are in place during an early stage of brain development. Folks, I think that's it for today. We're all out of time. I want to invite you to please come back and see us next week. We're on at 2:05 right after the news. But get the news. Get it on AM 600, 100.3 The Answer. You're listening to Bob Wolf at We the People 1787. Get on our website. Email me, folks. We're out of here.